There is no longer an argument to be made as to why sports ratings are on the steep decline that they are. For the NBA, 40% of those polled recently by Harris stated that it's far too political. 19% stated that it's because of the cozy relationship that the NBA enjoys with China. In my book, that's also political. That's nearly 60% of those polled that are responding to the actions by the leagues and the players in a very negative way. So why aren't they fixing it? And aren't there going to be consequences? Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, hiss and foes, welcome to the Culture Casino.
Sunday Night Football slipped in the ratings last night. The NBA did not tick upwards in a response to that, or at least not enough to show that the NFL was impacted by the NBA in the slightest. In fact, that's already being spun by the mainstream media since the numbers just came out. Now, media sources knew that this political stuff was going to interfere with the ratings for sports, and they've been trying to run as much cover for the leagues as possible, trying to explain away that underperformance. Now, the 20% loss in viewership that the NFL experienced last night, again, this was an NFL game that was highly touted, it didn't help the NBA Finals at all, like I said. In fact, the overnight ratings showed that an average viewership of 4 million folks were there to watch the NBA game. It's not very many. It also showed a 1.5 rating in the demo, which is not good for an NBA product. In fact, if that holds up, if these numbers that were reported from the overnights are going to stay consistent with what's been happening, the next few days as the DVR numbers come in, which, by the way, shouldn't count anyway, because anybody who's watching them on a DVR is fast forwarding through the advertisements, which is the whole point of having ratings to begin with, then this is going to perform as one of the worst 3 finals in history. No kidding. In fact, the last 3 games have been vying for position about what the worst ratings and how bad they could possibly be. So there are tangible consequences for these numbers. In fact, if these continue through the current highly charged political cycle that we're in right now, this will be probably an opportunity for the largest collapse in advertising revenue in history. And again, that revenue is what support the broadcast partners that put these games on. Of course, the broadcast partners buy them from the leagues based on the ratings that they get. So to that end, there are starting to be a few places that are sharing my concern over the decline steeply in the ratings. Now, in an article of, of all places, the Digital Music News, they highlight it in a positively spun way. Of course, I'm only going to read you excerpts from this article, as it really just supports what I've been saying for the last few months and weeks of, this year. So, from the article, NBA ratings crash could dramatically lower advertising music licensing fees in 2021. Yeah, no kidding. A substantial and sustained drop in NBA viewership numbers is now causing advertisers to recalibrate their budgets for next year, according to the details that were disclosed this week. In turn, those advertisers are likely to pay substantially lower music licensing and production fees, if they remain advertisers at all. That's a very strong statement in an article that goes on to kind of gloss this over a little bit. Now, across the board, NBA ratings have been down. No kidding. But a crash in viewership for the marquee NBA Finals battle between the Los Angeles Lakers and the Miami Heat is generating serious concern. You should have been concerned from the jump. The Hollywood Reporter noted that 7.4 million viewers tuned in to see LeBron James and the Lakers battle the Heat in the Game 1 matchup on ABC and its network properties on September 30th. That's the lowest figure in 26 years and possibly the lowest of all time. No, it was the lowest of all time. I hate this. Anyway, we'll get into that in a second. It's also down a sizable 45% from last year's Game 1 matchup between Golden State Warriors and Toronto Raptors. Game 2 of this year was even worse, with viewership down another 40% off of Game 1, which is likely another all-time low. No kidding. Anyway, those numbers are causing both advertising and music licensing sectors to seriously rethink their positions for next year. I would hope so. In a discussion this week with one prominent advertising executive, Digital Music News learned that numerous advertisers may be hitting pause on the 2021 NBA campaign buys, even if it's just to renegotiate and win some better pricing terms. You should. You should get some great deals. The sentiment was echoed by a rival agency with both actively buying ads across the NBA and all major sports franchise seasons. Both noted that some advertisers are actively considering pulling their NBA advertising in 2021, though reasons weren't cited. If the downward ratings trend continues, one agency executive noted that you could see a pretty big plunge in advertising revenue starting next season. Yeah, no kidding. The drawback reflects a marked change, with major advertisers typically jockeying for exclusives and plum slots ahead of next season. That is prompting fears of a broader trickle-down into music licensing, with payouts to both music creators, direct licensing publishers, and production houses lowered given broader budget cutbacks. Now, of course, this is a valid concern. In fact, there are so many industries that are affected when you start to play around with driving down ratings almost intentionally. This article goes on and it does lots of things to play up the factors that could be causing the ratings, but of course they do get around to finally being a little bit intellectually honest and talk about the Harris poll that I cited at the beginning of this. It's a bigger problem than even this article goes into, but the article, of course, goes on and does a lot of cover running as for these leagues as well, including the 1994 number, the year when they actually started tracking ratings. But you know what? They didn't track early ratings in television until a given year as well, and those numbers are still valid. So I really don't want to hear those arguments. They're specious. The NBA is also not, or I should say is not the only league that's actually getting pounded in the ratings category, as we know because we've been talking about it. The NHL Stanley Cup Finals was down 61%. That's huge, and they had just a little bit of the political garbage in it. The NFL is taking weekly doses of double-digit losses, and this, of course, includes last weekend, like we said, as we saw the 20% drop in just Sunday's game alone, and even NASCAR has dropped in overall viewership, so it's widespread. Now, there are some sports that aren't, such as golf and tennis, but there's not a lot of garbage going on there yet, or at least hopefully not, and soccer's just started to do it across the pond and elsewhere, so, coming soon. Anyway, as an advertiser, actually, I would be hitting the pause button on my buying activities as well, of course. As a broadcaster, I would actually be looking to my next contract negotiation with the sports leagues as an opportunity to spend far less. You should. The NFL contract's coming up. I think it's a year or two away. I think it's 2 years away. They really should be already in active negotiations. This is not going to help their position at all. As a team owner, I would be reevaluating my position, of course, when it comes to allowing politics to invade my league. I think the leagues, when they turned around and decided to do this, really chopped up their nose to spite their face. And as a player, I would actually start to realize that my stance on political nonsense could cost me substantial earnings, shorten my career, and limit my endorsements in the future. I think that's a legitimate concern. Ultimately, the fans are speaking with their wallets already, like we always talk about. And we haven't seen the impact of all this political garbage as far as it's involved in terrestrial radio, satellite radio, etc., and all of the sports radio and other products that, are being advertised there. I think you're going to start to see those numbers shrink as well, if they haven't already. I think I may have to delve into that for a future video, of course, but I'm just going to say I'm not surprised. You're not surprised. These numbers are going to continue to drop lower. People are out of the habit. They're taking the opportunity to spend time with friends and family, do other things outside, become less sedentary, and not become a couch potato on Sunday. In fact, even the college football ratings are having dips here and there, not across the board, but in a few cases. So I'm going to keep my eye on that as well. Now, I'm going to close this video in a different way. I'm going to do it with a special message because I want to thank each and every one of my viewers, my subscribers, and of course my fellow YouTubers for all of their support. Because today, I reached a milestone. I have accumulated over 4,000 hours in watch time on the YouTube platform, which is incredibly important. This step is paired with the fact that I'm over 1,300 subscribers now. Which means that has elevated me within the platform to apply for or to receive monetization, which is amazing. Let's actually hope that YouTube accepts me into their partner program as soon as possible, because, that would be great. As part of my gratitude to everyone who helped me achieve this goal, and there were so many, I mean, we're talking 100 or more people, I'm going to be recording a special video for this week just to thank everybody, to thank you all. However, there are some special thanks in order, and I wanted to say a very special thanks to Gary, Nerdrotic, for, everything that he does and how helpful he's been, just it's amazing. What an inspiration to us all. Comics Division, of course, who made sure I got a shout out on Friday Night Tights, which is my favorite Friday night show. Tom Connors over at the Midnight's Edge and Midnight's Edge After Dark, along with everybody there at Midnight's Edge, which include Rob Mecca and, of course, the boss Andre. And I want a special shout out to the above average Jeremy over at Geeks and Gamers. He's a pretty awesome guy, despite what you might think. Thank you to the Odin of Pizza, to Ryan Cannell, to Mary Mayhem, to Drunk 3PO, to author Stephen Walton, to Sporking News Podcast. Thank you, Scott. To the entire fourth wave of creators, all of the folks that I have hung out with for so long and so appreciate. You guys are amazing. I want to say thank you to the future Joe Rogan of the fourth wave, our very own Wes Moody from the Wes Moody webcast. And I have a very special thank you to a person who I believe helped me develop my live streaming skills, to Teresa, Miss Mart Muses. Thank you. This list is far from complete, of course, and it doesn't contain the folks with whom I stream regularly. I will do that in a separate video, as I said. It doesn't talk about the creators that I've worked with in various capacities, either having them help me or me helping them. And it needs to include this very special thank you to the fandom collective community as a whole, who promote all of the creators in the fandom if you just reach out and ask. Amazing people. If I actually took the time to say thank you to everybody, this video would run another 20 minutes, and I don't want to do that to any of you. All I can say is thank you for your support. I truly appreciate it. I say it every time, but I genuinely mean it. And be sure to support all the other independent creators out there. Not just the ones that I promote in my videos, but there are a ton of folks out there worth your time. I know, because I'm out there finding them all the time. Make sure you take care of yourself. Take care of others. Wash your hands. And until next time, bye.
Thanks for visiting today. Be sure you're subscribed and hit that for alerts.
Yay!
Of course, like and share all of the videos that you can, as it helps with the algorithm. Have a great day.